StormForge is a machine learning-powered experimentation platform for performance testing and optimization on Kubernetes. StormForge automates load testing while finding the optimal resource and parameter settings for your app. That means you get to deploy your application already knowing that it will meet your stability, performance, and cost expectations without wasting time with any manual tuning. StormForge automates this entire process for you, leaving you with the best possible configs to use in your production application. To get started, first install the StormForge command line tool using Homebrew. We can authenticate our cluster by logging in. This opens a browser and authenticates to the machine learning service. Now that we're logged in, we can initialize the controller on our cluster. Once the controller loads onto your cluster, you need to pick an application that you want to experiment on. In our case, we have this voting service application, which also has a load balancer on our cluster. If I go to that external IP, I'll see my voting web application with cats versus dogs. We've also tagged our app. So all of the pieces of our voting app are tagged with app, voting app, and this service is tagged with component voting service. So we know which application we want to optimize. Now we can define a StormForge application file based on that application. I've plugged in the right resources already. I'm going to plug in the ingress that we got from the external IP. I also want to grab the label from my object. We've already set up our testcase.js, which is a file here. This defines our load test using StormForge Performance. And we also identify objectives like cost for any metric with app voting app, and also P95 latency and P99 latency. Now I can generate my experiment. We'll see that experiment.yaml now appears with my entire experiment file. And now I can easily run my experiment. After the experiment runs in your cluster, the results will be available at app.stormforge.io under the Experiments tab. This will have a history of all the experiments that were run against your machine learning tenant, including the experiment we just ran, web application forge testing. We can see the experiment completed, and we can see the best value configuration that the machine learning has found. In this case, it's saying we can drop our cost by 80% and our latency by 96%. If I click into the experiment, we see additional details around the experiment summary, including the machine learning explored 231 total configurations. It weeded out 109 high-risk configurations and left us with 122 stable configurations. If I click into the results graph, I can explore all of those configurations. I can filter out so we only see the best. And I can also look at my baseline config, which was the initial setting of the voting web app. When we look at our baseline versus the recommended config way down here to the left, that's where we get that 80% cost decrease and 90% latency decrease. You can see what the machine learning is recommending is going to drop our cost by a ton, as well as increase our performance. If I scroll down, you can see all the different parameters that were used to optimize our voting web app, including the database, the Redis memory, the voting service CPU, and all the other parameters that were found by identifying our app via the tags. By using StormForge Optimize, you can make sure you have the best possible configuration for your Kubernetes app before you deploy it to production.